She's Sophia Jones. I'm Cyrus Sotsis. Sophia, you ready to rock and roll? It's a special Tuesday edition of V for Valkyries, where we're going to be talking a lot about a Warriors Media Day. But you ready to go? How are you doing?
Doing well, ready to go.
Here we go. We're going to recap Media Day a little more. Some interesting drama in the WNBA we're going to touch on. A little news about the Valkyries as well, some positive news. Let's get into it. And yes, the drama continues with the Golden State Warriors. Sadly, I wish we didn't have to say that. I wish we could just talk basketball. Still not there yet. Hopefully there will be a resolution soon. Let's talk about it. This is the Golden Days V for Valkyries edition.
They always find something to nitpick, and that's because there's expectations for us to win. Leave me alone this summer.
Let's go. In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up.
Hey there. It's Tuesday. Sophia, it's Tuesday. We normally do this on a Monday. That was a little pleasant surprise hitting me in the face that we're already into the week. It's day 2 of this 5-day grind. Sophia Jones, people can follow you on Twitter at Sophia Jones_2. How the hell are you doing, kid? Great to see you.
Great to see you as well. I'm doing well, and for good reason. We didn't have the show yesterday.
What was the reason? I have no idea.
Media Day.
Yeah, I'm kidding. Yes, Media Day is the reason.
Yeah.
The Warriors held Media Day along with a lot of other NBA teams. And we're going to talk about that because I was actually there, even had a chance to ask a few questions. I want to start things off, though. I did a show last night where I was exhausted. I hope I came across clearly and articulated myself accurately and with good prose. So today I'm more sharp. My mind is back to being 100% focused. So I'm not going to go into today's show necessarily with recapping my experience. I did that last night. Today we want to play some sound bites. I want to get your perspective. But Sophia, I want to start with a subject that I should have started with last night. And I saved this topic for way later in the show, not intentionally. I just forgot, but it should have been the headliner, which is for a media day to have the coach and the GM not be present is crazy. I mean, the whole purpose of Media Day is for important members of the organization to meet the media, who by default are a branch of the public. And to not have the coach and the GM participate was wild. That was the exclamation point on the most bizarre media day I've ever experienced. It was just somber. You have like a borderline like caste system with classes separated in terms of which media get the most access. It's just there's something foul about what's going on. That's just my personal feeling about it. But there is nothing personal about the fact that Steve Kerr and Mike Dunleavy Jr. were not present. They just said, "No, we're not doing this." And I think clearly, I think it's pretty obvious that the Jonathan Kaminga situation is that dark cloud hanging over everything. And I think it's why there's no explanation given, just that they were not going to participate. But I think pretty conclusively that the Jonathan Kuminga contract standoff, which is still going on, it is September 30th, the last day of September. Tomorrow is October 1st. Still no resolution, and it's gone to the point where the coach and the GM are not participating in an event that's supposed to be jovial. It's supposed to be fun. There's supposed to be a lighthearted atmosphere attached to it. There was anything but with that event yesterday. But in terms of just an objective truth, GM and coach not participating. Sophia, your thoughts to that on an episode presented by FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Believe and Golden Days. Your thoughts, Sophia?
Usually the general manager and head coach, like standard for a lot of media days, are present and available to speak to the media and the press. So the fact that they weren't, it was definitely an interesting choice, and most likely, like you said, derives from just the Jonathan Kaminga cloud, because all the questions from the press most likely would have been in that regard and about Jonathan Kaminga. And I guess when you're actively going through negotiations, honestly, the legality of everything could come into question a little bit.
Correct.
You're absolutely right. There could be questions there that just would present an awkward situation. Side note, I can't thank the audience enough. Sophia, please call me out anytime you notice that I forget to plug the mic in. I just hit the switch on. Hope I sound better to the audience. Forgive me for beginning the show with my computer mic, which there isn't like an obvious difference between the two, but if you pay attention closely, there is a contrast in quality. So thank you again to the audience for pointing that out. R. Jones dropping a $1.99 real fast, saying that his I hope I got the gender correct, Indiana Fever beat the Chebron. What is Chebron, Sophia? Is that a reference to Asia Wilson being the female version of what some people think is the GOAT, even though Michael Jordan, in my opinion, is clearly the GOAT? But I'm guessing that's what that reference alludes to. Indiana Fever, Las Vegas Aces, Game 5 tonight, correct? Your thoughts? Why not bring that up right now?
Yeah, game 5, it's an elimination game to determine who's going to go to the finals. It's been a really interesting series. I mean, for how hot the Aces finished the regular season, they lost only once to the Seattle Storm, and then they lost twice to the Indiana Fever, but they're in Las Vegas, hopefully, or maybe they'll be able to draw from that home crowd. But Kelsey Mitchell has really been incredible. And Kelsey Mitchell, with the addition of Aaliyah Boston, under the coaching of Steph White, have really kept this Indiana Fever team together. But it'd be hard for me to personally put any cards against Asia Wilson, who I think is the best player in the WNBA and in women's basketball right now.
Well, I feel like now is a good time real fast to bring up the official sports book of the Believe Network and of Golden Days, and that is FanDuel, who has become their own like entity in terms of media, sports. They are a titan in this industry already. It's wild, and we're elated to be partners with them. And for reasons like this, I can jump right to their sports book and look up the line for Game 5, a do or die. Look, Sophia, before I even read this line to you, courtesy of FanDuel, how crazy is it to you that the Indiana Fever, missing their best player, missing other very important players as well, all due to injury, if I have my facts correct, the fact that they pushed Vegas to a Game 5, the fact that Vegas came into the postseason, I believe, with a 16-game winning streak, and they've lost 2 out of 4 to the Fever. That is crazy to me. What is going on with the Fever that they're a game away from being in the WNBA finals without their best player? That is just, this is a story. What's your take on it?
Well, I'm assuming when you say without their best player, you're referring to Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
But with the way that Kelsey Mitchell has been playing this whole season for the Indiana Fever, I would think they're pretty on par. Kelsey Mitchell, she was first team all WNBA. She averaged a career high in points per game. So she's really been carrying a lot of load for that Fever team. And then I mentioned Aaliyah Boston, who has just been dominating the paint, doing a solid job of guarding Asia Wilson. That's not an easy task in the slightest. She's been putting up doubles, getting to the free throw line. So she's been doing her thing, and it's been those two, and then just a lot of grit from the supporting and role players. And I give a lot of credit to head coach Stephanie White for bringing that out of her squad.
Yeah, kudos to the coaching staff for sure. And and you're bringing an interesting perspective here, saying that Caitlin Clark may not actually be the best player on the Fever. And I can't push back against you for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, you're the expert, I'm not. But on top of that, I mean, look, the Fever, again, are just a game away from reaching the WNBA finals. Not something people expected. I think Vegas is the heavy favorite. And according to the FanDuel Sportsbook, that is an accurate notion. Sophia, what is your prediction for the line tonight? Vegas hosting the Fever, Game 5 of the Western. Is it the Western? No, they don't have an East-West for the playoffs,
no,
right? So what would you call this exactly? Game 5
just
of
the
what?
Semifinals. The
semifinals. Game 5, WNBA semifinals, Fever and Aces. What's your prediction for the line for tonight's game?
I would say Aces by 6.
You were close. The Aces are favored tonight by 7.5. If you want to bet the money line on Indiana, it's plus 285 to bet on them to win outright. My personal opinion, please do not bet on this opinion. I'm not going to even share it because I don't want to lead someone astray. I should not be giving opinions on something I'm not fully versed on. The OU is 157.5. So if you want to bet money on that game, if you're feeling good about it, go to FanDuel, check it out, and have some fun. And speaking of fun, or maybe Warriors Media Day, I want to play some sound from the event, following up on the discussion we had a moment ago regarding the team brass not being there. I did not see Joe Lacob anywhere either. It was just players and PR and media. Those were the three entities that were there. And one of my gripes, Sophia, and I don't know if you understand this gripe or not. I don't know if you have your own perspective on this, and I'm not asking you to give a take on this. This is just my experience from yesterday's media day. But there's been a change in the way NBA media can cover their team pre-COVID, post-COVID. Pre-COVID, we did not have a tier system, meaning if you had a credential, you can go into the locker room, you could interview whoever you want. You had freedom. And post-COVID, they've created this tier system where each NBA team working with the NBA clears different tiers in terms of media. Tier 1 gets full access. They can go into the locker room, which is really the core difference. There's two core differences. One is full access to the locker room. A secondary difference is where you're positioned in the interview room. Tier 1 gets seats, and they have front row seats, and there's usually like 3 rows of seats. Every room is different, but for the Warriors, I think there's 3 rows, and Tier 1 gets those first 2 rows. So you're getting the questions on a day like this, and you're getting locker room access. I bring this up because for media day, when it came to the Warriors' 3 big stars, Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, the only people that could ask questions were Tier 1. Which was a bummer. I didn't feel like I missed out on much not being able to ask Stephen Curry any questions. I felt like, and I brought this up last night, I felt like Anthony Slater and Danny Emmerman did a fantastic job asking the right questions with Steph. When Draymond was up there, I was colossally bummed out. I was asking for the mic, but it was a time situation. Again, all the Tier 1s, when the stars are up there, they have a million questions to ask. I wish they were limited to one question. If I have a peeve about the whole thing on top of everything else, is that why not just limit it to one question? So maybe there's more time for other people that don't have this Tier 1 classification. I'm understanding more and more why my friend Larry Krueger goes off on rants about this tier system. I get it more and more now in terms of the access. And so when it came to Dre, Steph, and Jimmy, Tier 1 were the only ones that could ask questions. And I desperately wanted to ask Draymond Green if him and or the veterans have had discussions with ownership about the potential ramifications of Jonathan Kaminga signing the qualifying offer, because those ramifications are going to be serious. Those are season-long ramifications. That's a distraction that is not going to go away at the beginning of the season. That's going to be there the whole year, and that's going to very likely impact Steph's championship odds in one of his final seasons, having that opportunity to chase the elusive 5th ring. And unfortunately, there was limited time for that. But I did get a chance to interview Moses Moody and Trace Jackson Davis. And I want to start with Moses Moody. Do you have any thoughts, by the way? I don't mean to dominate this whole discourse here. Any thoughts on the tier system, Sophia, or do you want to just move on? Your call.
No, it definitely does seem interesting. In my experience, just with, I'll say, the WNBA this past season, it hasn't been like that. If you get a credential, you get a credential. I do think maybe access on where you can wander is, designated, but when you're in the media room, if your hand goes up and you want to ask a question, then you can have a good chance of getting the mic.
Yeah, good take. And again, the tier system did not exist pre-COVID. This is something new that's happened the last 2-3 years. AC's asking, do other teams have a tier system? Allegedly, yes. This is according to Warriors Brass. What they've told me is that this is a league-wide instituted rule. So it's not just the Warriors, trying to censor certain people and whatnot. No, this is the NBA. And I think the goal of this is to protect their stars, like you said, in terms of access, getting close to them. Although it wasn't like in the old days, we had alarming instances of media doing dangerous things. I mean, there's no track record of that. There was nothing precipitating all this to warrant this extra level of security and caution and concerns, if you will. But that's the rationale, is that they're trying to protect the stars. And to the best of my knowledge, every other team also has something similar. I don't know how it would work for a team like, let's say, the Wizards. Is Alec? Regardless, that's how this whole system works. I did get a chance to ask Moses Moody about this same situation. And by the situation, I mean, in Moody's case, his draft classmate not being present. I was on 4 hours sleep after I heard myself ask this question. I did not realize I said 21-21. So forgive me for the flub there. I said his 2021 draft classmate. It didn't sound good. Nonetheless, here is my question to Moses Moody pertaining to the absence of Jonathan Kaminga from last week's player pre-training camp, however you want to call that thing, that took place at Jimmy Butler's compound in San Diego. We're going to talk about that briefly, but here was Moses Moody talking about the absence of his 2021 draft classmate, Jonathan Kaminga, and I'm also including a follow-up question in this clip from Ryan Leong, a good friend of the program. He joins us regularly for post-game shows. Sophia, you've met him before, virtually at least. And Ryan had a follow-up question. He gave me a shout-out, so I included it as well. Thank you, Ryan. It was great to see you yesterday. Thank you for your help yesterday, Ryan. Ryan's just a good dude. So here is Moses Moody talking about Kaminga not being available and his approach for the upcoming season. Moses, you just mentioned you were in San Diego with your teammates for that pre-training camp event, whatever you want to call it. But there's one notable absence, and that's your 21 draft classmate, Jonathan Kaminga. Are you guys discussing this? Is the qualifying offer, like, if you don't mind describing your sentiments in regards to your teammate not being here today?
Yeah, I mean, it's the other side of basketball, being the business of it. It's kind of personal to an extent. You know, that's not really on me to get into and to discuss. But so, yeah, I mean, when he gets here, I'm sure he'll be the JK that I know him to be. Yeah, so I look forward to that.
Hey, Moses, good seeing you back here. Given that what Cyrus was mentioning, you guys are part of the same draft class. You're another year in. What are your own expectations this year as to how much playing time you'll get and how much playing time you want? Because I'm sure you want to be playing more than you have in the past few years.
You know, just going in there every year it's a journey. It's you're figuring out, you get what you can. So just going in, just trying to add what I can to the team and be a part of winning. So just hope that contribution is more than less.
So there you go. And that was Moses Moody. Sophia, your reaction to Moody's two answers?
I think the majority of the Warriors players didn't really give straight up answers when asked about Jonathan Kaminga. Most of them, beating around the bush, being a little political, which you kind of have to do in that situation. So I don't blame them too much. But hearing Moses Moody and then also just reading about what some of the other players said, they all seem to be using specific vernacular in regards to when Jonathan gets here, when he's going to be here. They're almost speaking like he is still going to be a member of this team. And that's one of the things that I picked up the most.
Good intuition. I brought that up on last night's show as well. That's the vibe I got from the veterans, at least, or maybe especially, that none of them seemed worried about Kuminga being on the team, being committed to the team. I didn't get any sense of panic from them that this was going to get ugly. And I think that's great news. The fact that they're not concerned, because I do feel, look, maybe it's wishful thinking, but I really hope that they have a grasp of the magnitude of the situation. And look, in some of their cases, they've been directly through it. So they have better perspective than anyone else, really. I mean, when you break it down. So, but yeah, you're right. Good call. Good sense of reading the room there, that the team themselves don't seem panicked about it at all. I also asked Trayce Jackson-Davis a question, and I'm not going to bring up a Kaminga with Trayce Jackson-Davis clearly, because what the hell is he going to say? Look, no disrespect to TJD, but he's a young player. Like an individual in his circumstance is not the one who's going to be going to coaches and front offices offering his take on things. He's just trying to survive, and rightfully so. And he's a great kid in general. So I asked the question about his dad, because I had never actually read a detailed answer in regards to his relationship with his father, Dale Davis. If you're an older individual out there who remembers Dale, Dale Davis can play. He was like an enforcer type big who was in a lot of huge moments for the Indiana Pacers, Reggie Miller's Indiana Pacers, more specifically. I think he played some big minutes and games as well for the Portland Trailblazers, I think. But I remember Indiana being the primary team that he was a huge integral part of. And Trace is his son. A lot of people still don't realize that. So I asked Trace Jackson Davis about his relationship with his father. Like, is his dad in his life? Is he influential? And let's hear what Trace Jackson Davis had to say about this more lighthearted question about being related to an NBA big who was a legend in his own right. Trace, I'm sorry if people have asked you this before, but I'm curious, given your dad is a legend as an NBA player, what's your relationship with him? If you don't mind describing that.
No, you're fine. I have a great relationship with my dad. He's taught me a lot of things on and off the court. But me and his relationship are great. Obviously, he played in this league for 16 seasons. And so he knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. So having that to look at and in my corner like that, stuff of that nature is great.
Sophia, I feel like you have a bit of relatability, no pun intended, to a question like this. Your dad is the ultimate broadcasting legend. Do you like questions like that? Do you think, in hindsight, should I not have brought up the relationship with the father? Is that something that you actually enjoy discussing publicly?
I say I personally have no problem. Also, I mean, I have a really good relationship with my father as well. And I think that there is no shame to admitting a little bit of nepotism every once in a while. And just in the fact that people like that can really help to open doors for you. But at the same time, they can also be really useful resources and advice givers to have in your corner as well.
Absolutely. And great answer. I cannot relate, but great answer. And I love hearing that. Makes me feel better about asking that question. Now, Steph and Dre and Jimmy were clearly the highlight of this event. And again, in hindsight, I really wish there was more accessibility, and I really wish a holdout player wasn't hanging over everyone's minds, because that was the prevailing feeling, at least I sense, is that if the media could just say whatever they want and ask whatever they want, it probably would be just all about this Kaminga situation. You can't do that, clearly, though. But nonetheless, this is a distraction. I don't think there's any doubt about that, as evident, again, by the fact that the GM and the head coach did not participate. In the chat, first of all, and again, I can't pronounce your name. Forgive me for that. I'm not from Encinitas. I did live there for 4 years. And in case you're unfamiliar with the geography of Encinitas, it's part of San Diego County. And I'm a proud Aztec for life. So that's why I bring up San Diego sometimes. I did call that place home. And that's where the Jimmy Butler mini camp, if you will, in terms of labels, that was also held somewhere down in San Diego, which I've said before, is in terms of its meaning and definition. And again, this is just a joke from the movie Anchorman, a whale's vagina. And that's why that was written there. Boots the DJ writing that I'm guessing you're referencing some media types on social media, writing that Steve Kerr will speak after practice today. It wouldn't surprise me if he did, because that's a far more controlled environment where you just have the tier ones at practice today. Look, and here's the thing. With practices, like, someone like me could attend. Like, I'm not barred from going to practices. I just live very far away. I don't have an institution paying me a full-time salary to solely cover the Warriors. We're an independent operation, and I really hope we get to the point someday where we can afford to literally be a full-time presence around the Warriors. That's a long-term goal, and we need your help with that. I mean, word of mouth, pin those like buttons, adding subscribers, all this stuff leads toward us getting to the point where we can actually be a real presence with the Warriors. And that includes someday being tier one. The primary obstacle to being tier one is presence. Like, Ryan Leong was not tier one to begin with. Ryan Leong is tier one now because he's been around the team a lot. He's at every game. And the familiarity is a huge variable for becoming a tier one media member. We hope to someday be that. I do. But I don't live close enough to Chase Center. We don't get free parking like tier one does. And if you're familiar with San Francisco, parking in and of itself is a nightmare. It's $40 a day if you pay for it. It could be an hour walk if you look for free parking. It's not easy. And we hope to get there someday in terms of being a regular presence at the at Chase Center. But for now, I'll show up when I can. And Sophia, you work for the Valkyries. Side note, with the Valkyries, there's like this, when I first walked into Chase Center yesterday, there's like this huge, like, it looks like a massive wooden door. It could just be a wall that looks like it's made out of wood, but the Valkyries logo was there and it said Golden State Valkyries with the logo in the middle. Do you know what I'm talking about? This is right when you go down the stairs from the media entrance. When you first walk into the arena, you look to the left and it's just this huge Valkyries. And again, it's just this an emblem, if you will. I don't know if that's a door that it's on. I don't know if it's just a huge logo with a nice wooden backdrop that's planted there. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's beautiful. I was blown away.
I do. And that will be the entrance to our locker room.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There you go. Good stuff. It's a fine job by the folks at Chase Center in terms of showing Valkyries representation. It's one of the first things you see when you go in. It's just this huge door, which now I know goes to the Valkyries locker room. Thank you for that. Anyways, so Steve Kerr, he made talk of practice today, and tonight is part 2 of a Tuesday doubleheader. Mark Haynes will join me. I believe Frank Red's going to also join us to finish up our over-under prediction show, and Mark will give his perspective on Sacramento Kings Media Day yesterday. Was your dad there, by the way?
He was.
Any feedback?
I haven't spoken to him. I just
okay.
I know he drove my car. That's all I know.
I love it.
Because I live in San Francisco, and he had to fly in, and so he took my car. That's all I could tell you.
That's family. Yeah, that's family for you. Good job stepping up. So it's in case people are familiar, Mark Jones, besides being one of the primary voices, I call him top 2. In my opinion, he should be the voice. Mike Breen, you're a legend, but at a certain point, step aside, sir, and let others take that mantle. With that said, just my opinion on the matter, your dad is also the play-by-play voice of the Sacramento Kings, and figures like that are typically present at Media Day. So the Sacramento Kings had their Media Day yesterday. Mark Haynes will join me tonight along with Frank Red. We'll talk about that. If Kerr does speak to the media today, we'll play that sound on the show tonight as well. So tune in for that. But Stephen Curry, I want to play some. Let's start with him in terms of Media Day yesterday. We'll play a couple clips of Steph, of Dre, and we'll start to wrap it up after that. Stephen Curry was asked about his thoughts on, you guessed it, the player that everyone's tired of talking about, Jonathan Kuminga, which again, supposedly tomorrow's the day where a decision comes down. And I can't remind people enough, Kaminga doesn't have to make a decision by tomorrow. The October 1st deadline is very arbitrary. If October 1st comes and goes, all that is going to happen is Kaminga will have a new qualifying offer that will expire on February 28th. I apologize for previously saying March 31st. I did add to that I wasn't confident about that date for the new QO, if this gets extended. But that's what would happen. So Kaminga could, in theory, hold out indefinitely. Now, the downside to that is he would continue being a restricted free agent. This is a season where not a lot of other teams have cap space. To the best of my knowledge, the only team that is, and it is important, the only other team that's primed to potentially make a move on Kaminga this season, this current year that we're getting into, would be the Sacramento Kings, because they could apply a stretch provision to DeMar DeRozan's contract, waive him, and have the cap space to give Kaminga an offer that would price the Warriors out. Meaning the moment the Warriors give Al Horford that taxpayer mid-level exception, which is expected, they're going to be hard capped at the second apron. That's $207 million. And the moment they're hard capped at the second apron, you suddenly have a limit to how much you can pay Kaminga. And other teams will be aware of that. Now, to the best of my knowledge, the Sacramento Kings themselves have not communicated with Kaminga, letting him know, hey, look, if you do this, we'll sign you. And I could tell you that directly from sources behind the scenes, but that could change. I mean, 2 days from now, all of a sudden, the Kings could reach out and say, hey, we might make you an offer. Would you accept? I mean, the Warriors can match. And that is a real danger. And that's a huge reason why, even though October 1st is the date that everyone seems to have circled as this deadline, it's very arbitrary. Jonathan Kuminga is not handcuffed to this date. the CBA allows him to simply go past that and then contemplate a new qualifying offer that would go through February 28th. Again, like you said, Sophia, the verbiage from the players seems to indicate it's not going to get to that level. They seem comfortable with the whole situation. And Stephen Curry, let's start with him. And this was a funny clip. I don't know if funny is the right word, but he brought up some perspective in regards to communication, if you will. And more specifically, communication pertaining to himself and Kaminga. And someone asked about that, and agents were brought up, and Steph had, I thought, an excellent answer. Let's hear from Wardell, the legend, the man himself, the entire reason why we exist. One of the, maybe I shouldn't say entirely, but he's one of the reasons programs like ours are in play today. So here is Stephen Curry.
When his agent comes out and says, if we get the contract we want, we'll be committed to doing everything we can to win a championship. What is your reaction to something like that and the idea of like conditional commitment?
I only listen to my teammate. I don't listen to agents or anybody who's speaking on behalf. Like, I hear that from JK.
What have you heard from JK?
He'll be committed when he gets here. I just know from man to man, he doesn't want to have to be in the way of anything. So let that situation play out. He can speak for himself.
And there you go. Sophia, your thoughts on Steph's reaction?
I think that first off, it's good to always, if you're going to speak on something, try, if you can, have direct conversations like with that person. So when he says, I only listen to what my teammate says, I place a lot of value on that. And I'm glad he just says that and he not really pay much attention to agents, because agents have to bluff and they have to go through all these hoops to get what they want. So sometimes they're not the most trustworthy people, I guess. Not all of them, but, and not saying this is a situation, but agents got to do what they need to do. And so for Steph to just have his teammates back, I think that still shows that camaraderie that exists. And again, there's that language of when he gets here, he'll be committed.
Exactly. And that's the assurance. And all we can hope is that there isn't naivety attached to this, meaning like Steph's just not, wishfully thinking that it's all going to work out when behind the scenes. Now you were absolutely right about agents having their own agendas. In this case, what I can tell you as fact, based off what I've heard from Kaminga's camp, is that this final decision, and it goes without saying, it's not anything that I think will surprise anyone, but it was reiterated to me that this final decision comes down to Kaminga. Maybe he does change his mind. Maybe he does. Maybe the Warriors just hold firm and Kaminga decides, you know what, fine, 3 or 75, I'll take it. Like that, it's not an impossible scenario for that to present itself. Qualifying offers a very real option. We shall see. But the fact that, again, we're still talking about this is insane. I'm glad that Steph and Kaminga are talking. To me, communication is the bedrock of progress, of resolutions, it goes without saying, I hope. I want to play this clip from Draymond Green. Draymond was really going into detail about the Kaminga situation. And he's had his back through this whole thing. And did you see that picture, by the way, of him wearing those glasses real fast?
No.
Let me show you this picture real quick before I play the Draymond sound, because he walked into the room. I have no clue what the story is behind this, but when Draymond Green, and I apologize to the podcast audience for not being able to see this, but when Draymond Green walked into the interview room at Chase Center, which I think they call the Bill King interview room for good reason. He walked in. Those are sunglasses. That is not Photoshop. That is not an image planted on Draymond's face. He's actually wearing that. Those are sunglasses, and there's little holes where those black ovals are so he can see. If I didn't tell you that, Sophia, would you have thought that those were real sunglasses and not just a Photoshopped graphic?
I would have for sure thought it was Photoshop. That still doesn't look real as I'm looking at it.
It doesn't at all. So he came in with those sunglasses on his face. He eventually took them off. He started talking with the glasses still on, and people just could not control themselves as he was doing it. So he took him off pretty fast. He acted like he forgot they were still on his face. And then he started talking to people. And Draymond was asked whether he thinks Jonathan Kuminga wants to be here. Side note, I'm playing some of these clips from my former employer from days ago, KNBR, who, unlike 95.7 The Game, they know how to plug something into Chase Center's receiver so that the audio actually sounds good. 95.7 The Game, the flagship of the Warriors, for whatever reason, all the clips they post comes from cell phones, so you have a really hard time hearing it. KNBR plugs those mics into their system so the audio is good. So kudos to them from their Twitter account at KNBR for posting some of these clips, saving me a lot of time. Here is Draymond Green talking, and he was asked the question, and I thought this was a great question. Do you think Kaminga wants to be here? What does Draymond Green have to say?
You think he still wants to be here?
I think anyone should want to be in the franchise that they started in. And so do I think he still wants to be here? I do think he still wants to be here. And he said that to me, that he still wants to be here. When you're still with the franchise that drafted you, I don't care what has happened. You don't just throw that in the middle of the ring and say, hey, somebody else go take it, because you never get it back. Once you move on to the next franchise, I'm thankful. I'm going in year 14 with the same. I've never had to experience that, but I've seen people go through it. It's never the same. And I know this business. It will never be the same. So I know he still wants to be here. And I think anyone should still want to be with the franchise that drafted them if you can, because once you leave that place, it's just different.
You think?
So there's his sentiments on that. Sophia, do you agree that players want to stay with the franchise who drafted them? And I did think it was very notable, Draymond stating as a fact that him and Kaminga are talking. I can verify that as well. What I still don't know is whether there was any communication between Draymond, Steph, and the veterans and ownership. And that's what I wanted to ask Draymond. But again, those questions were limited to tier 1. But Sophia, your thoughts on wanting to stay with the team who drafted you?
I think that is definitely a pretty popular sentiment across sports. Honestly, I mean, when you think about a team that drafts you, that's a team that really gave you a chance to play professional basketball or whatever sport. They're paying for you to live your dreams, essentially. So I can see that there is always going to be a certain level of attachment. And what Draymond is basically saying, I think, is that for Kaminga, he still thinks that attachment is there. And for him to just come out straight up and say, I spoke to him and he told me that, I feel like that's pretty huge. And again, just more indication that things are maybe working towards Jonathan Kaminga being there. And
Same.
More importantly, he wants to be there, because that was a huge part of the question as well. I mean, he can be there, but you can be like unhappy, which no one wants that. But if he's there and committed, that's the version that the Warriors will be able to thrive off of.
Absolutely. My sentiments exactly. So that media day between last night's show and what we just covered right now, that's your summary in a nutshell. And we'll be back tonight to provide some more detail as well. Again, Mark Haynes, Frank Red joining me. It should be I hope a fun show where we're going to finish up all the OUs pertaining to FanDuel. I want to finish up the show, though, with two things. One is a final thought about media day. One other thing I did not bring up, which I thought I didn't like it. And I'll come out and say it straight up. I posted a picture on my social media channels of how media day looked in terms of center court at Chase Center. In years past, it was lit up. There's a lot of people. There's like all these booths. There's a million different multimedia projects going on with the players. And one of the things I like to do, not every media member does this. When I go to media day, I'll split time typically between the interview room and the actual multimedia center, which since the Warriors went to Chase Center, is located in center court. You have all these tents and these booths. And again, the players are going around like doing recording things for different stations and recording and taking photo shoots. I posted something from Brandon Pajemski yesterday doing that. All the players are going through that. What has never happened before is an entirely separate area reserved strictly for ESPN. In years past, like I've seen national media routinely at these media days, largely because, again, Stephen Curry and company, they attract it. He's a megastar, right? So in years past, I've seen national media come there trying to interview all the players and so forth. This year, I didn't see any national media anywhere. And I was a little surprised by that. Yet, as I'm walking around like Chase Center on center court, where it's like dead quiet, it's dark, like the lights are off. And that's the second year they've done that. I don't understand that happening either, because that's not going to, a dark room is not going to make you feel like you're in a lighthearted space, literally and figuratively. But the whole time I kept hearing a lot of basketballs. I kept hearing like a basketball sometimes hitting a rim. That sound was pervasive. And I kept wondering, like, is that coming from the practice area? In case you folks are unfamiliar, the Warriors practice facilities are also in Chase Center. This is the infamous part of the arena where the Draymond Green punch was recorded and leaked, for example. So I'm sure most of you have seen this part of Chase Center on video. I don't know if you've seen it personally because it's in a secluded part of the arena. I did not realize you can hear what happens in the practice facility in the main part of the arena. And I kept hearing this dribbling. I kept hearing all this noise. I'm like, what is that? I couldn't figure it out until I later got home and realized that ESPN had set up their own media day section in the practice area. And that was reserved for Malika Andrews to interview like Steph, to interview Jimmy Butler and Dre. And they did like their own private photo shoot. It's just, what is going on here, man? Like, why are you treating some media like they're second-class citizens? I don't see how that's productive. Like, come on, like, stop with the class system is what I'm asking and pleading for. Like, if the person is being given a credential, like they're vetted already. Like that should be your clearance. There should not be like a second round of vetting in terms of who gets the closest access and who has the luxury and grace of actually being close to a few of these guys. It's wild, man. And that's how the system was set up yesterday. So in case you're wondering, like, oh, like these, because I feel like the most the visual that stood out the most from Media Day were these pictures that Steph, Dre, and Jimmy Butler were taking together. And I remember when I first saw that, I'm like, where did they do that? I would have seen that. And it was in the practice area. It was a whole other part of the facility where training camp also started yesterday. So they were doing some practicing as well. And it's just crazy. I know Malika Andrews is a superstar. I get it, but we're all human beings here. Can we not treat this like some are better than others? Can we at least like drop the facade of, they're a star. You're not good enough. Like you're not special enough to have access to these people. Like it's borderline dehumanizing to have an action like that, if you will. That's just my sentiment. I could be wrong on that, but I wanted to raise the fact that this actually happened, and it added to the bizarreness of the feel of this whole event. With all that said, I don't want to finish up the show on the Warriors. I want to go back to the WNBA. Sophia, do you have anything to add to that, by the way? Because I'm not criticizing Malika, but I hope no one interprets that as such. I'm criticizing the Warriors creating different levels of access for different people subjectively, if you will, because that is how this process is done. It's entirely subjective depending on who these gatekeepers decide who has access and who doesn't have access. And I'm saying that stinks a little bit. And I'm not saying you should agree with that, but that's just my feeling on it. Any thoughts? And you don't have to answer that. I promise.
Just with some of those ESPN interviews, I don't know if I didn't see actual clips of the interviews, but in like Malika's, I think she posted a day in my life going to Warriors Media Day, and she showed that there are going to be kind of exclusive interviews and one-on-ones. So I guess I kind of do understand getting those exclusive one-on-ones because you want your players, to have all the fancy lighting and to be in a quiet environment. So that part I do understand.
I hear you. I hear on that. Again, this is a business. I get all that, but if it was happening in previous years, I think there would be less of an adjustment to this new format that we were presented with. Like it's never happened before, and that's the part that kind of made me it made me raise my eyebrows a little bit over the whole thing, but that's just me. It's just my opinion. Malika's awesome. Please do not interpret anything I said as criticism toward ESPN or Malika Andrews. She's killing it. So bravo to her for everything she's doing. I think she just got a new deal with ESPN too. Kudos to her. She's doing a great job. Do you agree, or do you have negative things to say about Malika? I have no clue what your relationship is with Malika Andrews. Maybe you despise her.
What? You love
No,
her? Okay.
I love Malika. Yeah, I love
Good, okay.
her NBA coverage, her WNBA coverage. I've been enjoying seeing her in the studio show covering the W this year. And her sister, Kendra Andrews, she covers a lot of Valkyries. So I've had a good chance to get to know her a little bit throughout the course of this W season as well. So
Nice.
great family.
There you go. There you go. And I was being facetious saying that. I know you have no hard feelings towards them. But I want to finish up going back to the WNBA. And side note, I think you're absolutely correct that Malik is a huge WNBA fan. And I think the daily NBA show that ESPN has gives an appropriate amount of time each episode to the WNBA, oftentimes starting the show as that being the focus. So the attention is being given to the WNBA on that program. She's clearly a fan. I don't think you can fake that level of enthusiasm and passion for it. The WNBA is finished, and I want to finish up the show with this. There's a small level of drama pertaining to MVP runner-up Nafisa Collier and the commissioner. Can you elaborate on what's going on? Because I don't follow the league closely enough to understand what the gripe is, what the point of contention is. Can you set this up for us, please?
So essentially, there's been tension between the WNBA Players Association and the head figures of the league for these past couple of years, but it's especially this season because their CBA is expiring. And so with these tensions, the players are just really trying to negotiate for some of what they believe are their rights. And Nafisa Collier is one of the most outspoken people within the WNBA Players Association. She co-founded the 3-on-3 League Unrivaled, which is essentially she made to counteract the lack of pay that she feels the WNBA players get in their league, and trying to just suffice that so not everyone has to go overseas and not get an off season. So Nafisa, she's been, like I said, just very, very outspoken. And yeah, like Bruce Morrow said, Janelle Salon, Golden State Valkyries, first team all rookie. I predicted this. I knew she was going to get it. So very well deserved for Janelle.
Good prediction. And it just occurred to me that Nafisa Collier soundbite is 4 minutes, 23 seconds. I thought it was going to be quick. I didn't realize
she did speak a while.
Is it worth playing? I don't mind playing it. I'm not on any schedule. I'll leave it to you to decide. Should we play Nafisa Collier's soundbite, or do you think you summarized it enough with your answer right there?
I can provide some direct quotes here.
Please.
The biggest one that was probably the bomb that Nafisa said was, quote, "We have the best league in the world. We have the best fans in the world, but we have the worst leadership in the world."
Ooh.
End quote.
Ooh.
So a pretty direct attack on WNBA commissioner. She also mentioned that Kathy Engelbert, commissioner, told Nafisa, quote, "Only losers complain about the refs," end quote. Collier said Engelbert told her that Caitlin Clark should be grateful for the WNBA because the league is responsible for her sponsorship deals. Collier said she tore a couple ligaments in her ankle during Game 3 against Phoenix. And then this was the last one, another quote that Nafisa had. She said, "We go to battle every day to protect a shield for a league that doesn't value us." So a lot of direct hits. And a lot of fire towards Kathy Engelbert from Nafisa in her exit interview.
Oh, I feel like this is going to be dramatic this offseason in terms of it. So I would predict, please correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I defer to you without question for WNBA, anything, content, opinions, you name it. Is there going to be a lockout?
I really can't say. I think that as the WNBA is getting a lot of attention and a lot of public support, it puts a lot of pressure on the league to make a decision. And the players are really laying out what they want and what they feel like they deserve. It's just a matter of being in that open negotiation and discussing it. But I mean, the season's still going on now, so I don't think things will get resolved tomorrow, but it really helps to create a dialogue.
I know, apologies for bringing this up. This is just my take. The fact that the WNBA commissioner did not spend enough time to research and properly enunciate the head coach of the Golden State Valkyries name when awarding her with Coach of the Year, that was just not a good look. I'll leave it at that. With all that said, again, Game 5, is that tonight?
Yes.
Of the Aces and the Fever? Woo!
Yeah, so that's the elimination game because the series semifinals are best out of 5, and then the finals are going to be best out of 7.
And the Phoenix Mercury await the winner, who upset the Lynx in the previous round. I know Nafisa Collier's injury played a part in that, or maybe do you think the Mercury would have won regardless of the injury? Because it looked like they were taking care of business even before she went down.
They were doing really well, but Lynx, they have a lot of hoopers. I think another huge portion also was if Nafisa Collier didn't go down, I don't think that Cheryl Reeve gets ejected and then suspended for that next game as well. Cheryl Reeve is the head coach for the Minnesota Lynx. So there are a lot of factors at play there. I don't know if the Phoenix Mercury would have honestly won. I think that the Lynx could have pulled off one more in Phoenix, and then playing on their home floor in an elimination game, it's pretty hard to win in Target Center at a Lynx game. So I don't know. It's a tough one to say, but it really is kind of heartbreaking how and like Bruce Morrow says, Dejanay Carrington was hurt. That's a major blow because that's someone that comes off the bench and immediately can put the clamps on any backcourt player. So it was a tough way for the Minnesota Lynx to end their season.
It is. And look, the Warriors experienced it firsthand with that Stephen Curry injury. It sucks. It just sucks when an injury helps determine the outcome of a playoff series, of a game. It's brutal. By the way, Bruce Morrow is a huge WNBA fan. It's ceaselessly amazing with the takes he brings in, and I know that because you're respecting it. I judge your response in terms of whether or not these are astute comments, and you're always like just doubling down on what he's saying or adding some interesting take. You're never pushing back. So Bruce, bravo. You know your WNBA stuff. It's been a long time, Bruce, since you've come on the show. If you ever want to come back, just make an appearance, please feel free to do so. Because again, you're spitting hot takes here. And we're back tonight. We've gone way long. I apologize, Sophia. We're finished now. Again, we're back tonight. The I-80 crossover. Mark Haynes will join us. So anything that happens for today with the Warriors, we'll address tonight in case there's anything new, including possibly comments from the team's first formal practice. So stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed the program. Sophia, anything we missed? Was there enough attention given to the Valkyries and their first team all rookie player? Do you think that a little more love real quick before we go?
Yeah, you know what? Why not? I think that looking at the first team all rookie, they had the number 1 pick, Paige Beckers, number 2 pick, Dom Malonga, number 3 pick, Sonia Citron, number 4 pick, Kiki Iriafen. They were all on there. And then Janelle was the only undrafted player to be amongst that list on the first team all rookie. Wow. And she really had such a profound role with Golden State this past season. She's a huge reason why they made the playoffs. She was a starter in nearly every single game except I think maybe 3 ones where she was returning from Eurobasket, but she's a hooper. And so I think 100% it was very well deserved. One of the leading scorers, one of the leading rebounders on the Valkyries. So she really did it all. And I think it'll be really, really fun to see her progress with this team and just within the WNBA and EuroLeague as a whole, because I think she is in Czechia right now for that season.
I'm going to try again to pronounce this, and then you're going to correct me. Juste Yochite.
That was very close. Juste Yochite.
Okay, so it's an at the end. So Juste.
Yeah,
Yochita.
it's like, yeah.
Juste Yochita. And again,
Juste
I'm gonna
Yochite.
So
yeah, it's
I'm,
like
so Juste Yochita. Juste Yochita.
Yeah.
I'm elated. She's going to be a part of this thing next year, if all reports are accurate. There's going to be an expansion draft, so the Valkyries can only protect 6 players. Do you know when that expansion draft will take place? Is there a date for that set?
I don't know off the top of my head. No.
Okay. Well, regardless, we cover the Valks here. V for Valkyries, typically Mondays at 3 p.m. Yesterday was media day, so we have to do a scheduling adjustment. Sophia Jones, color analyst for your Golden State Valkyries, is here joining me to talk about that, to give her takes on the Warriors as well. Sophia, just to remind people, you're a former D1 player for the San Jose State University Spartans, and now you're a color analyst for the WNBA. Bravo to you, and always grateful you join us each week. Anything we missed? Are we done?
Think we got it all.
Beautiful, beautiful. See you soon. Next week at the latest. And thanks to everybody. Back tonight, the I-80 crossover. Bye-bye, everybody.